Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to touch upon 9 sound design tricks that I wish I had known when I first started editing videos. Most of these are really simple concepts, but when you combine them together, they really help elevate your workflow and make editing films a lot easier. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'll be doing this all in Premiere Pro today, but these tips and tricks will generally work across any editing software. All right, let's hop in. All right, so starting off in no particular order of importance, let's talk about layering sound effects, specifically layering on your timeline. And so in Premiere Pro, one of my favorite things to do is to add effects to entire layers or tracks. And so the way that you do this is if you go to Audio Track Mixer, here you can see I already have a studio reverb on the first track here. And this is track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And this will basically, any effects that you add onto a specific track will affect all of the music or sound effects on that track only. So the way that I use this is, as you can see, I just had studio reverb on track number 1. So let me just go ahead and add it one more time here. If I add studio reverb to track number 1, let me just adjust it a little more so it's a little bit more pronounced. I'm just gonna max out all the stats basically here. If you usually have like a music on a track here, let's just play it through. You notice that it just cuts off really abruptly. And a lot of times, if you only add studio reverb to a specific sound effect here, it doesn't really play through unless you have additional things layered on your timeline. But if you want music to play through with studio reverb across the entire sound effect here, see how that ended really nicely compared to stops abruptly and plays through nicely. And the way that this happens is because I have studio reverb here, again, an Audio Track Mixer attached all the way through track number 1. So everything on audio number 1 here has studio reverb. So if I just pull this down, it no longer has it. And if I have it up here, it plays through. And this is just a quick tip here. You don't have to use studio reverb. You could do like Lowpass, Highpass. We'll talk about that later, but you can do a bunch of different effects. You can even layer effects, do different things, and it'll affect everything on track number 1 only, or audio number 1. So that's a quick tip here. Again, you can see the difference in how things sound with studio reverb versus not. So here it's not having studio reverb on this sound effect, and that's with it. And studio reverb itself is a great effect to just add ambience, and it basically kind of like reverbs everything and lets it play through. And it's really nice, even on risers here. That's no studio reverb. And that's with studio reverb. So again, studio reverb is a great effect on its own. And when you layer it again on a specific track, it allows you just to make adjustments on everything on one single track or audio layer. When you have a specific effect that goes onto everything on an audio layer, it's really easy just to rename it. I can just put like studio reverb here. And that allows me to know that everything on this track here is studio reverbed. And it's a great way to keep track of everything, but also stay organized in your sound design. Tip number 2 is taking a sound effect here. This is a whoosh. And it's basically speeding up whooshes or sound effects to get different pitches. And this is a quick tip here. If you want, like if you have a really fun sound effect, but you want it to go a little bit quicker or a little bit slower, all you have to do is just right click your clip, go to speed duration, and then adjust the speed. Here, I've got it in increments of 25%. So this is 125 speed, 150, 175, and 200. Let's just hear them versus the 100 first. So regular speed, 125, 150, 175, 200. Now, the way that this affects the pitch is basically by speeding up, you compress the sound effect. And if you want to maintain the audio pitch and just adjust the speed here, just click this little button here, maintain audio pitch, and it'll speed up the sound effect without affecting the pitch. But a lot of times I like to affect the pitch and change things up. You can even slow things down to get it at a deeper pitch. This is a quick tip here to get different variations of the same sound effect. So you're really maximizing. Sometimes you can't find the perfect whoosh or the perfect sound effect. And by adjusting the speed and basically playing with the pitch here, you can get 5 different variations of the same sound effect. And you can really get the bang for your buck out of the sound effects that you're using. Another way that you could do this without specifically playing around with the speed, this is regular sound effect, This is higher pitch sound effect. And the way that you do this is if you go in and you just add what's called a pitch shifter. You just go ahead and click and drag and add a pitch shifter onto your sound effect. You can then go ahead and edit the custom setup and either increase the pitch or decrease the semitones and cents to get a deeper pitch. And this is, again, another way to adjust the sound effects that you already have. A lot of times people are looking for the perfect sound effect, or they don't want to pay for new sound effects or find new sound effects on platforms like Epidemic Sound. This is a great way to use the sound effects you already have. And here I've got 7 different variations of the same sound effect. So this is just a quick tip to get more out of what you already have. Moving along with getting the most out of your sound effects, another easy way to, instead of adjusting the pitch, is just simply reversing sound effects. So here I've got a whoosh and this is a regular speed, same sound effect here. And that's using the reversed speed. So if you go into speed duration and you just click reverse speed, that allows you to change, same way you do like a clip, you can change sound effects to really adjust the sound of it. And again, if you, let's just couple it with the studio reverb here. We've now got almost like a riser. It's a completely different sound effect than before, but that's getting the most out of your sound effects, making new sound effects with the tools you have basically. And this is a cool way to really kind of layer and match different things. A lot of times I like to do this with risers. Here I've just got a simple riser. And this is reversed. It's almost like an impact, but a lot of times when I use risers, I like to start a clip with reverse riser, which is basically like an impact. And again, it's just another fun way to adjust sound effects and play with how they sound, reverse them. You can speed them up and just figure out and find out different things that work for you and work in different situations, different environments. Because if you use the same sound effects over and over again, it gets a little tiring. If you're looking for specific sound effects or music, it's a smart choice to check out the sponsor of today's video, Epidemic Sound. So Epidemic Sound is a world-class sound effects and music platform. Their catalog consists of over 50,000 premium tracks made by real artists and over 200,000 sound effects that I use all the time. Today I want to talk about a new feature Epidemic Sound launched called Adapt. Adapt is a new AI-powered tool that gives creators the power to quickly and easily shape tracks to better fit their content. Basically, if you know the struggle of trying to find a perfect track for your filmmaking project, it's really hard to find something that fits exactly what you're looking for. So let's go ahead and choose a song that I use all the time. And once you've chosen a track, you can then go ahead and select different moods or even select different instruments to add into the track to really fine-tune a song and make something that feels just right. Let's compare the original here to the adapted version. You can even adjust the length of the song to fit your project exactly as you imagine. The great thing is, even after you create an adapted track, Epidemic Sound makes sure to reward the artist who originally created the track. It's really a win-win scenario. If you want to try out Epidemic Sound today, use my code GAKU50, GAKU50 for 50% off your next annual plan. Thanks again to Epidemic Sound for sponsoring today's video. Next up, let's talk about using different variations of the same styles of sound effects. So in a lot of my work, I like to use whooshes, and I don't just use the same whoosh over and over again. You like to use different variations of whooshes. So let me just play through a couple different whooshes that I use all the time. That's sort of like a dramatic whoosh that I use all the time. That's sort of a deeper, quick whoosh. This is a really deep low whoosh. This is a whoosh. This is a whoosh with an impact in it. Another quick whoosh there. That's a deep lower whoosh. And a really deep long whoosh. This is a really, I think it's the same dramatic whoosh as I used before. But basically, the whole point is to show that you don't need just one type of whoosh. It's great to build out a library of different whooshes that you can use in your arsenal. And the point of this is, what I like to do is I like to layer whooshes depending on the type of movement or whatever kind of video entails that I'd like to use for a transition. So just to give you an example, here's the first whoosh. Sort of a quicker whoosh, if you'd say. And this is a deeper, longer whoosh. So a lot of times, if you just use a single sound effect on its own, it sounds a little cheesy, it doesn't sound natural. But when you layer sound effects together, they sound really full. That's both sound effects together. And then again, here we can just layer out a third sound effect. This is another different type of whoosh, but when you layer a longer, deeper, a quicker, and sort of a mid-medium style whoosh, getting all three layers together really helps to build out a fuller sort of transition, or if you're doing sound design, building different layers and transitions, or even just binaural or ambient sounds, these sort of tips and tricks where you layer sound effects together, and then you can even add like studio reverb, as we said before. This helps you build out a fuller experience in your sound design and just makes things feel a lot more natural. Same concept, and in the same vein as whooshes, let's talk about risers. And I only basically use two different types of risers. The first is a really simple normal riser. And the second is one I use all the time. It's a metallic riser. I'm sure you've heard of this, probably have overheard it. I basically only use these two types of risers. What I'll go ahead and do is do a bunch of the other tricks that we just talked about, where I either slow it down, pitch it down, even lower the volume to make it sound a little bit more not as jarring, add a little studio reverb. There's a bunch of different things that you can do to make the two risers that basically everybody uses. There's a normal riser, then there's that metallic high pitch riser. If you have these two, you're pretty much good to go. This one is from Epidemic Sound, specifically. It's called a riser metallic. And really similar to the whooshes, I like to layer these together all the time. So I'll put a metallic, let me just lower this a little bit, put it on the studio reverb track here. And it sounds really good depending on what you're looking for. This is just a different way to sort of keep an arsenal, keep a folder of different sound effects, specifically for this, different whooshes or different risers. And then you can draw from this later and layer them together to get more full sounding videos and effects and transitions. It's smart to have basically an array of whooshes and then here, an array of risers. Next up, let's talk about one of my favorite effects to add to sound effects and different sound design elements, and it's called Lowpass. So first, let's hear this dramatic whoosh that I use all the time. This sound effect is really full already, but sometimes you don't want something as aggressive, and an effect that you can add is called Lowpass. And if I just look it up here, it's in the filter and EQ, just click and drag Lowpass onto your effect, and this is what it sounds like. As you can tell, it takes basically the higher tones or higher pitches of a specific sound effect and it gets rid of it and only keeps the lower basically variables. And so as you can see here, the cutoff is 13,000, I think it's hertz. Don't kill me in the comments. And you can actually adjust this. This is basically the default of 1300. And if I go even lower, sometimes I go like 500. It can get as subtle as you'd like. And these are just different ways that you can adjust the sound effects again to get something that's perfect for you. You can use this on music as well. So let's play this through. This is a track that is normal without any low pass. And this is with low pass here. And this is even deeper low pass. So again, normal, this is with a low pass of 1495, and then I've lowered it even further here to 500. Let's just hear that transition one more time. So from normal to regular low pass to an even deeper low pass. And this is great for ambient music in the background or ambient sound effects. Obviously, we did it for the dramatic whoosh here, but for music, it works really well. You can layer this in specific angles or areas. Perhaps you're shooting a scene outside of a car and you want it to be muffled. So you'd use something like the low pass 500 hertz. And then when you get into the car, you can have it regular without any low pass. And those are different ways that you can make sound effects, music, sound design more realistic and more appropriate to your scene. Next tip is actually the opposite of low pass. It's called high pass. And basically what it does is it takes all of the lower tones of a sound effect or music, gets rid of it and just keeps the higher pitching, higher tone things. So here we've got a high pass of 1495. So basically, if you were to like cut this, you would just take everything that's above 1495 and keep it. And then likewise, here's that 500, and it's keeping more because basically you're only cutting out everything lower than 500. So it's kind of counterintuitive to the low pass, but a higher number will basically blow out the song even more. So this is 3500 and 500. Basically the inverse concept of low pass. But again, high pass can give you basically like that old radio sounding vibe. It's really useful in certain applications, and it's something I like to use all the time. Moving along is fading in and out of songs. And this is a really simple concept, but it used to be you'd have to like kind of fade in. Is it like exponential fade, crossfade? It used to be really annoying to fade in and out of stuff, but now in Premiere Pro, I think beta and everything since like Premiere Pro 25 or 24 and on, you can now just click and drag on a specific sound effect here to the top left. You can just click and drag and it creates this curve. Now, if you drag this down, the sudden introduction becomes really, abrupt. And then if you do the opposite here, you can make it really gradual. You can do something like this. It's really cool. Again, if you wanted to transition between music, you could actually just click and drag. When you have two sound effects side by side, you just click and drag, and you can then create this crossfade, which is really useful. I do this all the time. Here I'm just transitioning from a high pass section of a music to a regular sound of the music here. And honestly, this effect and this little tool here is really useful in Premiere Pro. Again, you can do this in other editing softwares, I'm sure. You can just add crossfades. It's basically called crossfades, but it's just a great, easy way and an easy tip to get between sound effects and tracks. And I actually really like to couple this with low pass all the time. So if we're just going from like a regular to a low pass, it's a great way to kind of get rid of the edge or sudden jarring of transitions or music, and it's something I like to add in all the time. And finally, to talk about voiceovers real quick, I'm recording right now on the Shure SM7B, and I like to use a variety of different microphones. I use like the Rode Wireless Go. I use different microphones out in the field, but voiceovers are actually something that you can adjust and make sound better. It's not just the microphone, believe it or not. This is something that when I first started out, I was like, damn, my microphone just doesn't sound that great. But you can actually tweak and adjust sound design in your voiceovers as well. So something I like to do, let me just give you an example of what this SM7B sounds kind of out of the gate. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to do a simple iPhone footage color grading breakdown. And then let me show you what it sounds like with my usual voiceover preset. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to do a simple iPhone footage color grading breakdown. To better illustrate this, let me just do like a transition between here and here. Well, in today's video, I'm going to do a simple iPhone footage color grading breakdown. Now, the reason that the right side, in my opinion, sounds better, it just feels a bit more full and really kind of full-bodied, deep. It's got good reverb. I'm not a sound design specialist. It just sounds better to me. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to do this one doesn't sound as full. It kind of sounds distant, and a few different effects that I add. I actually have this specific voiceover preset for free on my website. If you go to my shop link down below, there's a free voiceover preset. This is basically these 5 effects added on. It works in Premiere Pro only, unfortunately, but these effects I'm pretty sure are like on every editing software. So I learned this from a friend, and I'm not specifically attuned to what exactly each of these 5 things do, but the 2 things that really affect my voice mainly are parametric equalizer and vocal enhancer. Footage color grading breakdown. Now, parametric equalizer, it's an effect that you can just kind of look up. Parametric equalizer, you click, it's in filter and EQ. And the one that I like to use is vocal enhancer. I think it comes on default, but if you just go to vocal enhancer, I basically just take the default and I just leave it as is. And the other effect that I like to add is actually called vocal enhancer. So if you go to vocal enhancer and special, I just click and add that on as well. And then I keep it to low tone. Now this works for my specific voice, it's gonna be different for everybody. So you just kind of gotta go in and tweak different things. My voice is a little bit deeper, I think, in the tones. So I like to use low tone and it just sounds a little bit better. A couple of things I like to add are de-reverb, because I don't work in an isolated sound space. This room is just like a normal room. So again, I just leave this on default. For de-reverb, I add graphic equalizer. And graphic equalizer, again, it's on the defaults. It's just sort of this thing where it gets rid of the super high hertz and it gets rid of the super low ones. And it just kind of keeps your voice, or the main parts of your voice, in a great middle area. And then finally, hard limiter. I've got this to limit to -6 dB. And this coupled with the other 4 effects, these 5 effects in total, typically out of the Shure SM7B specifically, give my voice a much more rich sounding feeling. I like to add a little bit of gain as well, because the Shure mics are notorious for being a little bit low. So I also use a cloud lifter. I can do a breakdown in the future, maybe on my voiceover setup. It's not that difficult. But yeah, all to say that if you were to use just 2 effects, the vocal enhancer and parametric equalizer specifically do wonders for voiceovers, in my opinion. So if you're looking for something to spice up your voiceovers and take it from kind of a nasally. In today's video, I'm gonna do a simple iPhone footage color grading breakdown. Kind of, doesn't sound too professional, too polished, too much deeper, richer. Maybe not to everyone's tea, but in my opinion, it sounds a lot better and something I add to all of my voiceovers. Again, if you want the specific preset for this in Premiere Pro, I've got a link down below for free. So yeah, those are a series of tips and tricks for sound design that I use every day, and I hope they help in your editing workflow. If you have any questions on any of these, again, leave them down below in the comments. If you like this color grade, my PowerGrade and LUTs are linked down below in my shop, as well as a bunch of other great editing assets that can help you in your editing workflow as well. Feel free to check them out. They're a huge help to the channel. And if you made it to the end of the video, leave the word sound design down below so that I know who the real ones are. Thanks again for watching to the very end, and I'll see you guys in the next one.